yes, I'm very humbled, and I think I'm gonna be, taking the perspective naman of a consumer content creator. As mentioned, hindi ako expert. I'm definitely still learning. Last year, na-cancel nga ako sa Twitter dahil I was in a round table, tapos hindi ko pa kabisado yung mga I guess political lingo, yung mga ganun. So I accidentally said something that I didn't intend. And so I guess that's just to show that I'm still a work in progress in terms of being a political commentator. But, I went to senior high and I took up multimedia arts. Tapos ngayon, I'm a freshman taking a political science. And so I was a beauty guru and then now a political commentator. And so there have been a lot of mistakes as well as a lot of learnings as to how to do this in the best way possible. And so I guess we're going to be talking about disinformation, misinformation, and I want to define those first. So misinformation is inaccurate information. So basically when someone is misinformed without really having a direct intent to manipulate or to mislead. And so that could be like saying that you could cure oops sorry, something happened with my camera. Am I back? Not yet. I'm gone still.
Yeah, we can't see you.
Give me a second. I think my camera
There
has
you
hit.
are.
But it's okay. We're back on the desktop. Sayang, I had a setup for everyone pa, but it's okay. So yes, so misinformation is, for example, saying that eating bananas can cure a certain illness, right? Or when we talk about disinformation, rather, it's more of having the intention to mislead and to manipulate. So maybe that could be saying that the curve has been flattened when we can see the numbers constantly rising. And so I came up with two things that we need to, be a good citizen of our nation, as well as, to battle disinformation naman, which is what we're going to be talking about, or which you guys have been talking about the whole day. So number one is awareness. And let me just flex my political science learnings from this week. So there are two types of power. So there's direct power and there's diffuse power. And so direct power is more of commands, laws, compulsory power telling you what to do. But there's also diffuse power where it's a little bit more abstract. And it's more of you shaping influences. It's more of shaping thoughts and perspectives and preferences. And so diffuse is a little bit harder to shake because a lot of the times we don't even know that it's there. So I want to talk about presuppositions for a second. And presuppositions are basically things that we grew up with, that that's just the way that we assume the world is. That's a presupposition. Basically it's a presupposition so basically a presupposition is something that we grew up with. For example, loans. We have 9 trillion loans now in we have 9 trillion loans now. And so a presupposition would just be accepting that, okay, that's just the way that it is. And so that's normal. It's normal to have loans and we don't know where the money is going. And also that you can apply presuppositions to rainy season, where okay, every rainy season babaha sa kalsada. And so a presupposition would be assuming that that's just the way that it is. And there's nothing that we can do about it. But if we question both of those, we question, wait, where is the money actually going? Wait, shouldn't I be receiving some of the benefits of the 9 trillion? Or wait, shouldn't we know by now na pag rainy season may mga floods or pag rainy season may mga we're gonna experience this. And so questioning the things that we grew up with, because we see how presuppositions shape our perspective, and our perspective shapes our actions, and our actions shape our future. And so that's why questioning the things that we grew up with, the things that seem normal, the things that are the information that's being presented to us now, it's important to question everything. And so not really to debunk, no, or to debate, but more to understand and to be able to, or to have the capacity to hold people accountable to the truth. And so that goes with questioning maybe double thinks that we have in our nation now. It's like, to protect our human rights from drugs, we have to kill our own, or double thinks from our history, like the golden age of our economy cost everything, or fake news now again with the bananas, or gasoline that can clean masks. And so just letting this information go in one ear and out the other, and not calling it out, and not having or not calling for accountability, and just letting this information rule and reign on social media in our lives, that's kind of a form of passivity. And the citizens' passivity is one of the nation's worst enemies. And I think I had my own battle with passivity because I was politically unawakened until siguro mga 2018. So that's 18 years of my life. Tama ba math ko? Yeah, 18, 19 years of my life, not being aware of the world that goes on beyond my household, beyond my bedroom. And so I had my political awakening kasi may yung water shortage last year. I'm not sure if naaalala niyo pa ba yun. Um, there. Does anybody remember the water shortage last year? Yeah, so basically that was my political awakening kasi umabot yung water shortage sa bahay namin, and I was thinking about, how my family, we were pretty comfortable enough to buy, yung mga galon-galon ng tubig. But then my mind immediately flooded to the people who didn't have that privilege and who didn't have that advantage to buy that and to have basically a necessity. And so that was kind of my political awakening, because after that, I decided to make a video on it, and not just any video. I decided to make a research video on it, because from the if ignorance is a distorted view of reality, then the best cure for that is to see. And so when I started to see, I started to feel empathy for people. And when I started to feel empathy for people, I wanted to do something about it. And so I poured all of that emotion into research. And research, because I did not want to base my opinions on emotions, but I wanted to base my opinions on facts, because I know that emotions will get you heard, but facts keep people listening. And so I discovered so much about the internet and about politics and about legal proceedings and processes while I was, researching on this for about a week, day and night, before I posted my video. Rewriting scripts and deleting them and then rewriting them. And so I was able to come up with four, how do you call this? Like four landmarks or four questions you can ask yourself, or four actions we should take before assuming something is true, before posting about it on social media, and before acting on it. These are the four things that I was able to, put together for you guys. So number one, or letter O, we'll start with O. Look for the original source. So this is something that I learned or I have been learning since I started my TV series, wow, my YouTube series, which is called Trendsetter. And so Trendsetter I created because I wanted to break the stigma that you could be passionate about pop culture, and not about politics, or that you can only talk about politics but not the other, where we can be passionate about both and we can be aware about both, and that makes us a good citizen. So basically, when I was researching on one of the topics there, which was the anti-terror bill, I discovered this site. It's called Scribed. I don't know if you guys know that site, but Scribed is a freaking lifesaver, because I found the entire anti-terror bill there. And actually, you can look for the PDFs, but you can see all of the other legal materials and the court rulings all on that site. And so I would look there to the original source, because I didn't just want to look at infographics. I didn't just want to look at screenshots or little blurbs and stuff. I wanted to see the full picture without the internal biases of people. And so looking at the documents, looking at the uncut videos of the rallyists who were arrested, looking at more than the 15 seconds that's posted on Twitter, but as much information and as much content I could find on it, as well as full interviews on people's different opinions. Like I remember Miss Lucy Torres Gomez went viral because of something that she had said, and so I needed to know her context of saying that instead of just getting it from angry Twitter netizens, which have already been, and so her quote might have been mis misunderstood, it could have been tainted, and whatnot. And so Trendsetter showed me that, more or less everybody is a little bit biased. Everybody's a little bit biased, and I say that because as I go through different sources, I don't just go to one, I go to siguro 10 different news sites. It shows me that everybody has their own tone, everybody has their own tone of voice, everybody has the way that they want to say things. And so that's why it's important to go to letter P, which is my next point. P, is it precise? So ask yourself first, is it precise? When I was researching on the ABS-CBN case, I had to ask myself, is this the same information that I'm hearing or reading from every single site that I go to? Is this, are the facts consistent? Are what I was talking to lawyers, right? I was talking to lawyers and businessmen, and I was checking if their facts and their their I was checking if their facts were the same as everybody else, and if they were not misconstrued or manipulated to make one person seem like a savior or one person to seem like the evil one. And so research as well, just going to the facts and interviews, and also going to headlines and articles. So going to big news sites like BBC, CNN, NY Times, and comparing that to what we have here, comparing the content also of the headline to the actual article is something that you should do, because based on a 2016 Columbia University study, 59% of news links shared on social media were not actually read by the user. What does that mean? Nakita nila yung headline pero hindi nila binasa. Hindi nila nabasa yung lahat ng content. And so whatever the news site wanted to show or to tell people, that's all that the people read. Whereas there could have been facts and more to it where they didn't want to read anymore. And so we have to be careful to whatever we share, whatever article, whatever blog site, whatever. Read what's under it, because 59% of news articles shared. That's 6 out of 10 articles that are shared that people don't actually know the complete context of. So it's important that we know how precise everything is. And the next one is P again, it's purpose. So you have to look at the purpose of the writer, the purpose of the speaker, the purpose of even the interviewer, the purpose of the interviewee. You can kind of derive that from, again, their tone, their voice, their choice of words, in which if you listen to people who are supposed to be non-partisan, you'll notice that their lingo is a little bit, and so you have to look at their intentions. Is it to inform the people, or is it to attack a person? Is it based on facts or emotions? And so for me, Trendsetter is based on its purpose is to inform and to educate, not really to sway towards a color, towards a person, because we don't really enjoy polarized politics. It's more of values and morals, again, and character. And so that's my purpose, to educate people on that and then to inform. And speaking of morals and values and character, for me it has been severely tested in the last year, because my last point is to absorb is to absorb the information first, and that means to let it sit, and that means to wait before you respond, before you react on social media, to let that sit first. Because usually, yung first reaction mo, your knee-jerk reaction, is usually the one that you regret. And I have tweeted stuff that I regretted so much. Like, one morning, I saw a headline, I tweeted something that was very unnecessary. Honestly, it was just unnecessary noise, and I got a bunch of flack for it, and I had to apologize because I saw why they were hating on me, because it was really just a knee-jerk reaction. And so looking at these 4 points, so look at the original source, is it precise, ask what is their purpose, and absorb, then you get opa. super unnecessary. But all of those spell OPA, and I hope that you remember that. So original source, precise, purpose, and absorb spells OPA. So hopefully that will help you stay a little bit social media responsible. And then my just very quickly, my next point. So first we have awareness. Second, we have action. No, and so I've learned that awareness without action is completely useless. And a while ago we were listening to Sir John Neri. No, I think yeah, I've got to the end of his talk, and he mentioned that after we agonize, we organize, and so after we are aware, we now have to take action. And so I was reading this book. It's called Small Acts of Resistance, one of my absolute favorite books in the entire world. And the first chapter talks about the communist movement in Sweden, and how there was a solidarity who were very aware that at 7 p.m. the news was basically disinformation, basically propaganda. And so what they did as a sign of protest, now as a sign of solidarity for them and just standing up against disinformation, what they did was they would take their TVs out on their wheelbarrows and they would walk it in their town. And I thought that was hilarious because it's a peaceful way to show, hey, we are not taking this crap that you think that you're giving us. We are not going to listen to this information. And so they did that all together, fighting the propaganda. And so I want to take that a step further and not just say, fight, just fight whatever disinformation there is, but we actually fight with the truth, because more often than not, if you're part of this webinar, the truth is on your side. And so Trendsetter is about truth, values, and it's more about not just taking the defensive every time that there's a negative or misinformed tweet or if there's disinformation. It's not just taking the defensive and making a rebuttal, but actually I decided that I wanted to be a little bit offensive with the truth and take a step before what is it called, like I wanted to para unahan ko na sila, basically, before I would have to before just rebutting. I just wanted to be there and be proactive instead of just reactive to any negativity online. I wanted to be able to educate my viewers to think proactively, to act proactively, in terms of the truth, in terms of character, in terms of morals. And I think that's something that we need to do now, because the good guys are not meant to sit in the sidelines but to make headlines. And so ngayon yung nakikita natin headlines, it's always negative. It's always maybe even amplifying the bad, period. And so I think my encouragement now would be, don't, yes, let's condemn, let's hold them accountable, bad politics or influencers, but I want to encourage you guys to also praise and support the good ones, and so make them the headlines as well, the people who, like for example McCoy Dubs, we see Frankie Pangilinan, we see Hershey Neri, all of these influencers who are standing up for what they believe in, and kind of help validate them and give them that confidence that we're listening and we support you. And so go the extra mile and comment and like and say, this means a lot to me, because they should be the center of the social media attention and not people who take their platform for granted. Yeah, okay, so really quick, I just wanted to say na yesterday we saw news about how Facebook was taking down accounts. So some linked to Russian propaganda, some linked to Philippine accounts, linked to military, linked to certain politicians in China. And if the opposition, if the trolls are on social media, then shouldn't we be there? We be there too? Then where are we? In Lithuania, so whenever there's Russian disinformation and propaganda that's going on, they have these people that they call elves, and I think it's the cutest thing. So basically, when there are trolls who are spreading lies, they have elves who will counteract, who are very quick to say no, that's not true, and so hit them with the truth right away. And so I'm just saying that what if we had our own form of elves where we weren't just passive about disinformation and we weren't just rebutting disinformation, but actually taking a step further and sharing the truth and working together through it. Because what happened in Swidnik, as I mentioned a while ago, with the wheelbarrows and the TVs, like that was a collective effort, because that wouldn't have worked if it was just one man on a wheelbarrow with a TV. That just would look crazy. But the thing is, everybody in their village, yung mga kumakmari nila, yung mga lola-lola, yung brother, sister, neighbor, they all decided to take their TVs on a wheelbarrow. And I think that is something that we can do, is take a collective stand, because I know that we are capable. This generation is capable, and everybody on social media are capable of making a change. We just saw hashtag cancel Korea trended like what, last week, and then and then Korea replied with sorry to Filipinos, and Filipinos replied sorry to Korea. And so that is just, wow, the power of social media, and also showcasing the power that you have in your hands right now. You're watching me on a gadget, that means you can type, that means you have internet, that means you have means to amplify your voice. And so I always say that there's always something you can contribute to the world that nobody else can. And so if for you that's truth, if that's morals, if that's values, if that's even just, not just, but even if that's supporting people who do speak on these things, supporting people who do have good purposes, then that that matters just as much as the change that I choose to make, or the next person chooses to make. And so I hope that as we want to change our part of the world, and cultivate a culture of truth, we also focus on what we have now, what's in our hands now, which is social media, which is gadgets. And so I hope that we can weigh what's worth it to us, and push with boldness out of our comfort zones to fight for what we believe in. Thank you.